My name is Victor, and a few years ago, I was married to a woman I had loved and given everything to named Jessie. Jessie and I had a beautiful baby girl named Victoria. My wife thought it would be funny to name her that because she really did look like me. We had a son named Caleb, and I loved both of my children more than any words could do it justice. I just wish I had stood up for myself against my now ex-wife. If I had, I wouldn't be crying while typing this. Sorry, I'll add more context. Jessie and I knew raising two kids wasn't going to be easy, especially raising them in New York at a time where I barely made enough to tide us over. It's why at first I was honestly excited and surprised when Jessie told me that she found a job. I had felt bad because I had promised her that she could be stay-at-home mom after we had gotten married. That was before prices went up, but my pay hadn't. My bosses all kept giving me the bullcrap excuse that if I wanted more pay, I needed to work harder. One of them even had the stones to tell me that our financial problems weren't his problems. I struggled to look for a better paying job, but I just didn't meet their expectations. I wanted to get more skills to change that, but then Jessie told me that she was pregnant with Caleb, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to finish school while balancing a new little bundle of joy in our lives. So, even though I felt horrible for breaking my promise to Jessie, I was happy for her success in finding a job. I told her how much a new wave of income would definitely help us now more than ever, and her eyes, to my surprise, lit up like fireworks. We were both happy about it until a wave of dread randomly took me off guard. My joy turned to dust as I asked her about her new job. She told me where it was, but it wasn't until she told me who she was working for that things got heated. You see, we had this neighbor that always was a little too kind to Jessie. It started off small, like helping her to get groceries into our apartment or having simple conversations about her day and allowing her to vent about Vicky. It then started getting uncomfortable with how she would go on and on about Thompson. So much so that, admittedly, I was starting to feel jealous. It led to arguments between us about how insecure I had to be threatened by an older man who owned his own business and the apartment complex that we lived in. His excuse for not getting some big house in upstate New York was that none of the houses lived up to his standards. Apparently, it was their little joke. I told Jessie of my concerns, but she brushed it away. She got dressed for her interview and admittedly looked stunning. We shared a car, so naturally I had to drive her there with our kids in the back. To this day, I felt horrible that I had to argue with her in front of them, but this bad feeling just wouldn't go away. She eventually lost her patience and got out of the car. I got out and started a full-on screaming match with her in the company parking lot. Jessie kept walking as now I had to take the kids out of the car and followed her to the building, barely having any time to lock my car. Tears fell from Caleb's cheeks as he cried for his mother. In her rage, she took Caleb from me and told me,
"Fine, Victor. You want to argue so bad and make me lose this job? Then let's just go."
She hadn't realized what she had done as she put Caleb into the back of someone else's car until it started to peel away. We all immediately ran to our car and chased after it. Jessie was behind the wheel, and it would spell death for my son. He was only a year old, 2 days before this incident. Sorry, Cooking this meal for my daughter and I has made my eyes water a bit. Anyway, we were bumper to bumper for a small amount of time until they decided to make a few turns. I was in shock and couldn't think of anything else but saving Caleb. Jessie turned a different direction at random, and she was convinced that she knew a shortcut. 5 minutes went by, and we weren't close to finding that car again. It took 2.5 hours and the cops pulling us over before Jessie stopped. We had to explain everything that had happened. The officers escorted us home as a couple of police cruisers were sent to hunt down the vehicle. As you can only imagine, we hadn't seen Caleb since then. Rather than talk to me about any of it, my now ex-wife ran into Thompson's arms. It made me snap. But with a stone face, I told her that I was sending Vicky to my mom's for a few days. You know what's been nice about having friends who want to save money for their zoo and living close to the zoo? Depending on how you cut up the meat, no one really questions what's fed to the animals of the zoo. I kept some of it, though. After all, I'm now a single dad of 2 children. The police were useless, but I found Caleb. It took a lot of digging, but I found him 2 months after the divorce. The oil stings my skin for a second, but I continue to cook in this frying pan. As I told the cops, as far as I know, Jessie and Thompson ran off together, leaving me to care for our 2 children. I refused to tell them how I found him. Just that somehow I did. None of the charges stuck to my records, and I got my kids. Well, dinner is ready, so I need to go. Personally, I think these steaks look really good. Probably my best work yet, and my kids seem to agree as they both clean their plates. And who says vengeance is a dish best served cold?